Corey Grimmick, director of the Portland District Library, and I am here to show you how to turn a book into a fancy little box that you can store all of your fun things in. I have another project coming up in a couple months, or I don't know how long. I have another project coming up that I want to use the Reader's Digest books for. We're going to make purses out of them. So I'm using not a nice book like you guys have. I'm just using a book that was deleted from our collection because it was falling apart and no one ever read it. So my book is going to be a little bit uglier than yours, but I didn't want to waste it on waste one of the good books. Anyway, so what you're going to need in your bag, you got a book, you got some scrapbooking paper, you got a piece of thick cardboard. It's not super thick, but it's non-corrugated cardboard. You got an X-Acto knife. Oops, sorry, held that out of frame. And you got some tacky glue. Now, what you might want to use from your own house, I brought a pen down with me. I brought a ruler just in case I wanted to be really exact and measure things. And if you don't like the tacky glue that you got, I think a hot glue gun would also work very well. So if you have a hot glue gun around the house, I think that would also work very well. It will take less time to dry, which might be convenient and might be something you want to do. That's the one good thing I realized about these take and make bags is we can do things that take a little bit longer. If you were here in the library, we would probably never be able to do this project because it would take so long for the glue to dry that it would just be pointless to even do it. But when you take this home and make it, then you can put the glue on, walk away, come back the next day, and it's all dry and good. Okay, so this is actually, I thought this was gonna be a very complicated project, but I think it's actually gonna be pretty easy. So yay, we're gonna end up with something very beautiful and it's not gonna be that hard. So the first thing we wanna do is we wanna remove the text block from our book. So that's where you're gonna use your X-Acto knife for the first time. Now, just a word about X-Acto knife safety. I always do use my X-Acto knife in the most unsafe way possible. So you should do as I say and not as I do. So we just basically wanna cut along this crease right here, which is actually technically called the hinge of the book. So it is right where the text block attaches to the cover. It's called the hinge. It's where it opens and closes. And you just want to take your X-Acto knife and you just want to cut along there. Basically what we're cutting through is just a little lesson on bookbinding, is we are cutting through a layer of paper and a layer of like sort of a muslin fabric. Usually a pretty loose weave, but that is how you bind books. Now you'll notice I am doing it the safe way where I am cutting away from myself. In my head, that was gonna be like way more I was gonna have one smooth motion like that, then I was gonna have my text block out. And instead I sort of jabbed at it like a crazy person. But, so this is my text block, and it is out now. As you can see, it's probably, you might be a little bit too far away, but there's some loosely woven fabric in there. And then we have our text block. And this is a nice old book, so this is a side note. You guys don't care about this, but as you can see, this is an old book that was bound the nice way. Now they print it all on large sheets of paper called a signature, which have 16 pages each. They fold the signatures up and then they cut whoop, across the end so that all of these pages are loose, and then they glue those into the binding. But this is a nice old sewn book. So they took each signature separately. So every 16 pages is folded up. I mean, I can just take this off. It's folded up. That's the end pages. So each 16 pages is folded up, sewn together, and then they're all sewn together into the text block. So This book is from back when they used to do it right. Anyway, you don't really care about that. That's not really the point of all this. I just went on a side note, on a little tangent there. Little trivial tidbit about me is that I actually was trained as an archivist, which means that I had to do take a lot of like book restoration and book repair classes. So I sometimes wax poetic about the different ways that books are made. And these signatures, these 16-page signatures, is why most picture books are 32 pages long. Oh my goodness, you're getting so much book trivia. Anyway, I'm trimming off all the little gross bits that I don't want to have show. My box is going to open like this, and so we are going to be able to see this portion right here. Now the next thing we're going to do is we want to build our walls. Ideally, I would have had one very long piece that you could just make one strip for the wall, but I can only get, this is the longest piece of cardboard this thick that I could get. And I wanted you to have a durable box, so I got this. So you're going to have to probably put two pieces together. And there's a couple different ways that you can do this. You can measure before I already cut my strips, so you didn't have to watch me cut a strip off. But you can measure before you cut out the text block. You can measure how tall it is with your ruler. You can just hold it up. I actually just held the cardboard up against, I put it on top of the cover and then held it up and then just made a mark where the text block was. Now that your text block is out, you can measure that with your ruler if you have one, or you can just hold it up against and mark how wide and how long the text block is. So, because basically the parameters of our box are going to be the same size as this text block. So I'm going to get rid of that little piece that I took off, since I have already cut my height, the proper height. And now the next thing we want to do is I want to just create a score. I want to score this cardboard where where it's going to bend. So I'm going to line this up. I should do it this way. Look at me learning things about doing this. So I'm going to line it up to my text block, or you can measure. Also, if you are, I don't know if you've noticed this ever, but I thought I caught myself there and I didn't. I didn't even come close, but I am kind of a fly by the seat of your pants kind of person. So I tend to just hold things up and eyeball them and like do them this way. But if you are a more precise and organized person than me, then you might want to measure. But anyway, I'm going to put a little mark with my pen where the edge of the book is. That's actually a nice dark mark. So then I want to score. I don't want to cut all the way through the cardboard. I just want to score it enough so that, I should probably draw a line here. So that will bend more easily. Otherwise I'm going to have more like a rounded corner, which if you want a rounded corner, perfect. Don't score it. I am going to cut towards myself, but I will turn it so that it's a little less dangerous. So I don't want to cut all the way through this piece of cardboard. I just want to cut maybe like half or 3/4 of the way through. So I'm applying some pressure, but not a ridiculous amount. And then I can just bend it there and I have a sharper corner. So that's going to go there in my box. And then See, here's the problem with eyeballing. It's a little bit too long, but I'm just going to leave it. Because that's how I roll, yo. Because you don't really want to watch me like trim off little bits. You just want to see how to do this and be done. Okay, so now we have in your package, you have a couple different, you have 2 or 3 pages of the scrapbooking paper. You can use any kind of paper you want. You can use scrapbooking paper, you can use gift wrap, you can use, whatever you want will work. You can use fabric. I think that would also look really nice. So anything that you have, I have given you this. And you just choose the pattern that you want, and we're gonna glue this onto our cardboard. And then that's going to show up like on the outside of the box. Now when you open the box, you're gonna be able to see you're gonna see these end pages, you're gonna see this spine material, you're actually gonna see the inside of this cardboard, you're gonna see the top of this. So it's up to you like how much you wanna cover. I was thinking that I might cover like over the top, basically. So I am going to do this the super easy way for me, just because this is fast. And like I say, this is your project, you can do whatever you want to do with it. So I'm gonna put some glue on my cardboard. And then I'm gonna stick my cardboard down on my paper. Line it up there with the bottom. Oops. All right, and I'm lining it up with the edge. If I were smart, I probably would have just lined it up this way. I would have done this whole side and lined it up that way. Is it too late? No, it's not too late. All right, woohoo! Corey's getting crazy up in here. Okay, so I want to cover up my corner too. So I'm gonna glue up my whole piece of cardboard, and then I'm gonna stick it to the whole thing. Oh, look at that. They're the exact same size. Woo! So that's gonna work nicely. Then I'm gonna glue this other side. Get all my glue on there. And I'm going to fold it over as tightly as I can. Get that nice folded, zoop, zoop. Because basically I want this to stick on here as tightly as I can make it. You might want to let that dry a little bit. I don't want to make you wait while I do that, so I am going to just cut off the excess. Probably scissors would also work very well for this. I did not bring scissors down with me. So I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife. Try to pretend like I didn't just make a little X-Acto knife cut there. All right, now let's see where my fold is. It's right there. Zoop. This would probably work better if I waited until my glue was dry. All right, and then, so now I have this. It's got the paper on the outside. It's got the paper on the inside of the wall, and it's on the top of the wall so that there's not gonna be a lot of cardboard showing. You can also choose to cover this area, the lid, and what's going to be the bottom of the box. You can cover this. You could just take a whole, you have many options. You have many options here. You could take this piece of paper and cover the whole inside so that everything's going to be covered in this pattern. You can use a different pattern if you want, whatever you want to do. You can use plain paper. You could do just the bottom and the lid. You could do just this part if you want. You could use different kinds of paper for all these three parts. This is so close to being the right size that I'm just gonna, what the heck, I wasn't gonna do this, but now I'm gonna do it. Woo-hoo-hoo! My cardboard underneath there, and I'm just gonna, again, this is not the safest way to do this. Do as I say, not as I do. Oh, duh. You know what? I was cutting right along this line. I could have just cut along that line and not... Anyway, that's a little off, but it's close enough. Close enough for this demonstration. So now, I actually took this piece of paper, this piece of scrapbooking paper from the pile that I was gonna put in your bag, so now I'm gonna have to go get another piece, different piece, so that I have enough for all of you. All right, so I'm gonna glue this on, blah, 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 get this all nice and gluey. And I'm gonna stick this onto my thing. And like I say, it's not exact. It goes over the edge a little bit. It doesn't go quite to this edge, but you know, you'll forgive me, right? Because I'm just doing this as an example. All right, so now we're just gonna glue our side on here. You can have it right up on the edge. Let's see. You can see that better, I think. You can have it right up to the edge of your, what's that? There. You can have it right up to the edge of your cover if you want, or you can bring it in a little bit so that you have a little bit of overhang. Entirely up to you. If you want to put some sort of fastener on your box, then I would recommend putting it in a little ways. But basically, we're just going to glue this onto our box. We're going to glue this wall on. And this is, if you don't want to wait for it to dry, this is where hot glue would probably be a lot faster. And basically, we want to make sure that this will still hinge and close, and that this will still, you know, like you don't want to like put it here and then like, no, it doesn't close. So you just want to make sure that it's to the side of your original hinge here. All right, so I'm gonna put a whole lot. I want this to stay, so I'm really gonna glue this monkey up. Ugh. Oh, my glue is a little bit older, so it's harder to squeeze. I gotta use both hands. Okay. So I'm gonna put a ridiculous amount of glue here. It's gonna dry clear, so it doesn't matter. Then I'm gonna set my wall in the glue. Make sure it closes. Yes, it does. And I'm gonna hold it for a little bit until it starts to set. See, this is, if you're impatient, hot glue. I recommend hot glue. Yeah, I'm just gonna let this set a little bit. Once it's set a little bit, you can probably put the cover on like this. You could put something on it to weight it. You don't want to glue both sides because then you wouldn't be able to open your box. And like, I guess unless you wanted to leave it open on this end and have like a sort of slip cover box. You can put things, it could be like a little cereal box. You can put snacks in there. But yeah, once you have everything glued and everything, you can weight that, and that will help it be sturdy. Ooh, I got glue on the table. Okay, I'm gonna have to clean that up. Ooh, if I let that go, it is good for the moment. And then, like I say, because I couldn't find longer pieces of cardboard, you would just cut another piece of cardboard and put it around on this side. So basically, you're just gonna do the same thing we did here. If you don't, like, depending on where you want the seams to be, because there are gonna be seams, because the books are big enough that we didn't have a piece of cardboard that I could just give you one so that you could make one strip. There's a couple different things you can do. You can, you could attach these to each other before you glue them down, before you put the paper on and glue them down. You could tape them, you could overlap them a little bit and glue them or staple them. Or like I say, if you had some duct tape or some sort of tape, because you're gonna cover this with paper, that would be a really good way to do that. Because you're gonna cover up whatever you use to put it together. Or you can do it like I did it and create two of these. What is that? I'm not gonna remember the word. There's that Japanese art where when something breaks, you paint the crack or the broken part with gold paint, and then the break or the crack becomes part of the artistic merit of the piece. So you could do that. You could put a little piece of ribbon where that seam is. You could like highlight the seam where it is with a little piece of ribbon or some paint. Or you can, you can try to camouflage it. It really just depends on how you want your box to look. So you could put your two pieces of cardboard together before you cover them with paper. You can do it afterwards. You can do it however you want. Or you could make 3 individual sides. And make this side, make this side, and then make this side. Glue them all on, and then you could put the paper, then you could cut the strip of paper and glue it on when it's already on, when the walls are already on. You can do it however you want. See, I like to give you guys creative license, and I have faith in your problem-solving abilities. So you can decide which way is easiest for you or which way you think will make the best looking box, and you can do it that way. That might have been enough. If I had time, I would make another one, and I would do it, with like individual walls and then paste the paper on afterwards. So there you go. That is basically what let me turn it. That's what your box is gonna look like. Ta-da, oops. Ta-da! Actually, that you probably wanna affix that to this edge. So I probably should put it a little bit closer here. Let me do that. I'm just gonna do that right now. Look at me. I'm gonna put some glue on this. Ugh, my glue is hard to use. All right, so I can glue this to that, and then it won't flop over. And there we have it, my nice little box. Boop. You can put some sort of little fastener right there if you want. One of those like frog fasteners. So that is basically it. We do have some other really fun craft programs coming up. Next month, we are going to play with quick set cement because I don't know, I want to live on the edge. So we're going to make succulent containers out of quick set cement. They're going to be modular, so you can arrange them any way you want. And then you're going to get some succulents to plant inside of them. And then in August, we are making those beeswax and fabric food storage, like the little sandwich bags and then the things that you put over a bowl of food. So they're going to be environmentally conscious food storage, food wrapping. So that's what we're going to do. Please, if you ever feel like sending me an email with pictures of your projects, that would make me happy. I got to see one picture of our royal icing cookies. So please feel free to email me. I believe we're going to put my email address on the screen, but if not, it is cgrimminck@portlandmilibrary.com. Or you can send it to our Facebook. You can send it to us in a message on Facebook or post it to our Facebook page. Show me your delightful book boxes. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope that your box turns out great, and have a wonderful rest of your summer.